Government is contemplating a collaboration between the National Anti-Galamsey Task Force and licensed small-scale miners in the fight to end the minute. The move appears to have been informed by the recent extension of the 6-month ban on small-scale mining by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, because the gains made so far by the Anti-Galamsey Task Force fall below expectation. At a crunch meeting on Thursday with the Minister, General Secretary Godwin Ama attributed the poor results to the task force's poor knowledge of the terrain and tricks used by the illegal miners. He tells Joy News Latif Idris the association is willing to bring its experience to bear, adding the fight would be won very easily if the association is involved.
Our proposal we gave to government before this whole fight was, we gave him 3 main points. First, let's start with the river bodies, because that's the priority area to save our rivers. Second, we look at the forest reserve. And then thirdly, we sanitize those who are operating even with licenses and they are not doing its work through education, and then also empowering the association to do a lot of monitoring. But everything was boxed together, and it's really, once you lump all you want to fight it without breaking it into various components to handle, then we'll be having a lot of difficulties. So that is what we are going to do now.
Why are you interested in joining Operation Vanguard?
Our absence now is giving them that leeway to be working. Vanguard notes that Vanguard is not working in the night. They are always working during the daytime because of security reasons. And also there are remote areas that these guys are operating that the terrain is well known by the small-scale miners, because once it's operating in there, you'll be able to notice any dredger or miner compared to Vanguard. And you should also know that Vanguard, they rotate the military men, I think, every month. So once you're able to, acquaint yourself with the environment, to know the terrain, before you see 1 month is up, you need to be rotated and all this stuff. So it's also some of the disadvantages.
Lands and Natural Resources Minister John Peter Amewu agreed the licensed small-scale miners' knowledge of the terrain will significantly help in the Galamsey fight.
Some people have license at operating at point A, but they are operating somewhere in point B or point C, because there was nobody in place to check them. And so this time we have to restructure and make sure that, you are designated to work at where you are supposed to work. This group of people, they know the areas. And that is why we're having this meeting, and that's why they came here themselves. And so whilst they are not working, they illicit work once that the fight is on. They are rather working because they cannot, where they are hiding, they cannot easily be identified. Most of the people on the river bodies now, they are moving upstreams. And these are the guys who knows where they are moving up to. So when they come in, they should be able to help us address, the river problems.
Members of the association are expected to present a budget covering their participation in the Galamsey War to the ministry in the coming days.
Deputy General Secretary of the Public Utility Workers Union, PUL, Richard Nyaba, says the union will only decide on an out-of-court settlement with government if the latter agrees to pay severance package of workers to workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana. PUL, in a writ filed at the Accra High Court, argued that the decision to cede ECG to a concessionaire constituted severance of the ECG workers' employment and therefore required that they be settled. Mr. Nyaba noted PUL is willing to suspend the court proceedings if government commits to deal with its demands.
Oh, we are ever ready. We are prepared. If government wants us to settle it out of court, we are prepared. So if they call on us and we see that they are really truthful with us and they are ready and faithful to discuss issues with it, we will ask our lawyers to hold on with the case.
What would be those things that you would look out for before you go into an out-of-court settlement with them?
The worker sovereign benefits. That is the main issue, because we're first talking of after 5 years what happens. Now the government is telling us that there is no more unconditional layoff. Yes, they have said it, but we have not seen it in any document anywhere. All the transaction documents, we have not seen it anywhere. Yes, if they come out with a write-up and it's agreed that yes, there will not be any layout, yes. 2, if they agree to negotiate on their workers' sovereign as per the law states, we have no problem. We will be prepared to settle it out of court.
Richard Nyaba is of the view it will be unfair for anyone to describe the action of POO as selfish. He says they chose to go to court after government failed to heed to their demands.
To POO, it is the interest of POO and Ghanaians, because this issue of we going to a court, we've tried several times to meet government to discuss these very issues affecting our welfare and the welfare of our members. We even mentioned it on several occasions that we'll be left with no option than going to court. And we felt governments have taken the opportunity to call upon us to sit at the table, but they ignored us, and we were left with no option than to go to court. So to us, the fault cannot be fully placed at our doorsteps, but it should be placed on the doorsteps of the government.
In a related development, minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, Adams Mutawakilu, is backing the decision by the Electricity Company of Ghana workers to drag government to court over their severance package as a new concessionaire prepares to take over the company. He faults government for not consulting the workers in the processes leading to the takeover. The workers sued government demanding severance packages before the takeover, a move that could threaten the deal and result in the forfeiture of the nearly $500 million expected to be given to Ghana by the U.S. government. Mr. Mutawakilu is urging government to, as a matter of urgency, engage the workers for an out-of-court settlement.
What do you make of, after you heard the news, how did you react?
I got worried, but I also realized that the staff have been left in the dark for some time. And when you are left in the dark, you take anything that comes your way to get it resolved. I thought the Minister of Energy should have engaged the staff long time ago. But as far as 2 weeks ago, it was evident that the staff were even to see the minister. I've never had the opportunity to meet him. Meanwhile, their input and concerns should have been taken on long time, even before the minister announced that next year, September, a concessionaire would have been operational. So once they are not getting that coordination and dialogue from the minister, you have to seek redress. And that is what is mandated by law, to go to court to seek redress. And I think that is what they are resorting to.
And so for you, the move is not out of place. But they are concerned that it could well hold of the deal and make everybody lose money.
The minister, the ministry, and the government of Nana Akufo-Addo should change its stand. I thought the minister should be somebody who is reconciliatory, ready for negotiation, and not taking stance. Okay, if you want your redundancy package, we pay you, you don't get. I don't think that was a best option for the minister. Said to the workers, we needed to have engaged them. It will cost us, the boys there, because they have stringent timelines. And being aware of it, I think that the government should have engaged these workers not to even get to this point.
But what do you make of that position, them demanding that they be paid severance package even as a new person takes over the company? Is that fair to government?
The point is that legally, by September, ECG is no more, and they are workers of ECG. So legally, and that one, the Labour Commission could handle it. When the concessionaire comes to effect, there are no more staff of ECG. What is in there for the company taking over? First and foremost, are they sure that the company that is taking over will absorb them, and any of them who is going on retirement will get the benefit due him? It's critical. Will get the benefit due him. If it has become clear, and doing that, you need documents to prove beyond reasonable doubt. You are aware in this country in August, Ghana Commercial Bank took over Capital Bank and UT Bank. Government made it clear that Ghana Commercial Bank will keep the workers for 6 months and take a decision by then as to whether they will retain them or they will let them go. Less than 3 months. ECG is dismissing the workers. So that tells you that government assurance by word of mouth is not enough to guarantee the workers stay in the new company that will come to take over.
You're watching Joy News Prime. Still ahead in the bulletin, the renewed calls for the repair of the pothole raiding Accra to Motorway may just have yielded some results. as the government begins series of a public announcement about the start of work this weekend. Stay tuned, we'll be back with all that and more. Commercial drivers who regularly use the Accra-Tema motorway have complained the many potholes on the route is causing frequent breakdown of their vehicles. The drivers say this is costing them so much as they have to spend a lot of money to repair their vehicles. Apart from the high cost of maintenance of these vehicles, the drivers have been sharing their stories about dangerously navigating the potholes and why urgent action is needed to prevent avoidable deaths. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
Well, this is one of the many potholes on the Tema motorway. Well, drivers plying this route usually have to snake their way around this pothole. The danger here is that these iron rods used in the construction of the road are badly exposed and can perforate their tires, causing damage to the many cars by this route. We are currently here at Shaman Lorry Station, where some drivers here bear the direct brunt of the many potholes on the Tema motorway. They say sometimes they have no choice but to slam their tires inside those deep holes.
Very dangerous because of the potholes. You always get some difficult on the motorway because sometimes you are not expecting some potholes where you go meet. So you hit it with your car, and after you get some maintenance where, so it is very serious. So I don't know if you people can help us and do something about it. As you know, motorway is not a road like some anyhow. Motorway is a dangerous way where we are going some speed. So as soon as if you are going with some speed and you go meet some potholes, you see, the times out. So we use brand new tires. Sometimes you go buy brand new tires like 300 Ghana within 1 month, 2 weeks, and the tire will break.
The government has do something about it because even motorway, I can say there's no potholes on motorway. It's a manhole. Because sometimes we are going, because of that, all the big trucks will try to take out early because of the potholes. Because this car is a heavy car. We are going with passengers, and as we are going, this is a mistake, enter potholes, it will throw you away as long as the accident can. So the government will have to do something about it, the motorway, especially from Ashama and Dabi to Abattoir.
It is very, very bad. For a long time, we all know. A lot of big men are passing through the road, but they are not saying anything about the potholes. Right now, when you are going to Accra, you no need to pass the outer lane. You're supposed to take the inner lane through to Accra. Because of the manhole, you normally blast that. Yes.
The potholes on the Tema motorway are like time bombs waiting patiently to explode as motorists snake their way around these manholes that have developed on the stretch. Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Agbagba.
Right, so we have on the line the Deputy Roads and Highways Minister, Anthony Cabo, who's going to be telling us what exactly government is going to do about this situation. Good evening to you, Mr. Cabo, and thank you for making time.
Israel.
So we've seen, or I've heard, a number of announcements on radio suggesting that work is to begin on the motorway this weekend. Are we to expect that the potholes that are going to be fixed?
In fact, these are part of routine maintenance that are going to be done on the potholes on the motorway, and it relates to temporal routine maintenance work. Don't forget, we have indicated earlier that processes are far advanced to seek a strategic investor to build a 6-lane motorway. Last 2 weeks, the market sounding was done. But in the meantime, we still have to address the difficult challenges on the motorway.
So the work that's going to begin this weekend, is that the fixing of the potholes?
Exactly, fixing of the potholes and also blocking a lot of the access routes. Just this afternoon, I was on the motorway and I realized that some of the access routes have been opened and people are avoiding the payment of the tolls at the same time. It's creating a total nightmare on the motorway. And so we're trying to address that at the same time, also deal with the potholes that appear to have emerged.
How long is this supposed to last?
I wouldn't be able to tell because these works, don't forget that it's difficult to block the motorway completely, you know, and so maybe some lanes will be closed for the work to proceed whilst others are being done. But the motorway is very busy, and you attest to it that it's difficult to shut it down completely for the contractor to do his work. So I'm sure he will do it gradually until all these potholes are dealt with.
And how much has been estimated for this job?
For the moment, I won't be able to tell.
Do we know how this is going to be fixed? Are we going to use the regular bitumen to patch it, or?
I said these are temporal works that are going on. If you do a permanent concrete filling of the potholes, you'll come back to it again in a short time. But we're hoping that these temporal routine maintenance works on the motorway will lead us through to a point where we would have finalized arrangements to construct a new lane.
How long do we expect this temporary fix to work before we bring on the permanent fix?
It's going to be a continuous process because we believe that now we should dedicate a particular contractor to the motorway who will constantly do these repair works all through the time, because even as we do these ones, because of the heavy load of vehicles running on it, within a short time, we'll be back to it. So we'll continue with these temporal measures until we are finalized processes to bring in a strategic investor, and the entire motorway will be reconstructed into a 6-lane.
Mr. Cabo, I'd like you to clarify. So essentially what you're saying is that this contractor who is going to start work this weekend is going to be permanently on the motorway to fix any potholes that he would find.
Exactly. It'll be routine maintenance. It has to be done all the time until such time when we have completed the processes, because it's difficult to address the challenges on the motorway in a one-off routine maintenance work. It's really difficult because of the huge and the heavy vehicular traffic on that particular road.
All right, thank you very much, Anthony Cabo. Anthony Cabo is the Deputy Roads and Highways Minister. Parliament's Constitution and Legal Affairs Committee has concluded work on the Office of the Special Prosecutor's Bill, which government is seeking approval for. The committee is hoping to submit its report to the House on Friday for that approval. Government is hoping to get the bill passed by next month so provisions can be made for it in the 2018 budget. But the minority says it is not likely the House will give approval for the bill before the end of the year. Mama Shaibu is MP for Daboya, a member of the Constitution and Legal Affairs Committee.
The clear case of independence has always been the problem. And so if we don't amend Article 88, you cannot have an independent special prosecutor. And in so doing, I mean, why do you have to create an office that has no teeth to bite? I mean, there are existing institutions that you can strengthen to do the same work. Okay. So that's been our case, and I don't think that has moved until 88 is amended.
Would it pass before the end of the month?
I am not sure about that. It's likely will be late tomorrow or Tuesday, and then it will go through the various readings, and then it will be subject to debates on the floor if there are some amendments to be done on it. And so the timing up to December, it doesn't look possible. But we will work very assiduously to see. I see government is in a hurry to enact that law, and so we will work as a parliament. We will work professionally to see how it is passed as quickly as possible as they want it.
Okay, but for you, looking at all the clauses that need to be amended, then that will be difficult, passing it as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I mean, once we get those amendments done, I mean, and then it goes through the various readings and then consideration, I think that we can get it, but I don't see it getting off before December.
Vice President Dr. Mamadou Bawumia has expressed the need for a comprehensive migration policy to provide a framework to manage migration for sustainable development in Ghana and the West African sub-region. The issue of irregular migration and migrant smuggling has gained prominence on the global agenda as refugees and asylum seekers continue to embark on dangerous journeys to Europe. Dr. Baumia, who was speaking at a conference jointly organized by UNO-WIDER and the Africa Research Universities Alliance at ASA, emphasized the need for leading universities in Africa to collaborate and develop local research to find solutions to development challenges on the continent.
And migration, ladies and gentlemen, and mobility are major human development issues and increasingly are key facets of our increasingly globalized world. It is therefore not surprising that these issues are high on the global agenda, high on the African agenda, and high on the Ghanaian agenda. The first national migration policy of Ghana, aimed at providing a framework to manage migration for sustainable development, was released in 2016. And I'm sure everyone is aware that we are continuously monitoring the need for effective policies in this area. The program for this conference speaks to many of our key concerns: internal migration, urbanization, internally displaced persons, irregular migration and migrant smuggling, labor migration, return, readmission, and reintegration of immigrants, border management, refugees and asylum seekers, amongst others. We hear a lot on the international stage about South-North migration. This conference clearly demonstrates UNO-WIDER's strength in bringing together researchers and policymakers from across the world to share experiences of what works and what can be done better. Before assuming my current office, I contributed to a study to one of UNO-WIDER's projects on the recent Ghanaian experience with oil discovery and macroeconomic management. So I'm happy to welcome the UNO-WIDER staff here in Accra. Ghana is a strong believer in the values of the United Nations, and as an institution of the United Nations university, UNO-WIDER exemplifies success in mobilizing research and promoting dialogue to bring fresh ideas to the policy table.
Business News is next.
Hello again, good evening to you. Time for business. A special surveillance unit set up by the Ministry of Finance has impounded about 100 uncustomed vehicles in various parts of the country. These vehicles are said to have violated the customs and duty law on vehicle importation. Speaking with journalists at a press conference, Commissioner General Emmanuel Kofinti said the Ghana Revenue Authority will soon begin a process to prosecute the culprits.
The Special Surveillance and Monitoring Unit is working in close collaboration with GRA to detect uncustomed vehicles, goods and other areas of revenue leakages. So far, the unit has arrested about 100 uncustomed vehicles whose owners are going through the process of paying the required duties. I wish to remind the general public that in accordance with Section 55, Subsection 1 of the Customs Act 2016, Act 891, a person who imports vehicles into the country shall pay import duties and any other inputs. It follows from this that the owners of the uncustomed vehicles have violated the law. Those who have vehicles in the country and are using the vehicles supposedly with registered numbers and have not paid the duties on them have violated the law. The work of the Special Surveillance and Monitoring Unit has confirmed that the number of uncustomed vehicles are many in the country. GRA is therefore calling on all owners of such vehicles to regularize the status of their vehicles with the Customs Division of the GRA. I also wish to advise the general public to verify the authenticity of the documents of any vehicle they intend to purchase with the Customs Division of GRA to be sure of the tax and duty status of such vehicles before payment. As an organization, GRA intends to vigorously pursue revenue without let. Accordingly, GRA is serving notice to the general public to ensure that all vehicles that they own have had their duties duly paid. This is to forestall any embarrassment to the society at large. GRA hopes to receive the cooperation of all in the enforcement of the laws that guide the operations of the GRA.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority says or has expressed confidence it will meet the revenue targets for the year 2017. This is due to the increase in tax compliance in the country by the end of August this year. Addressing the journalists, the Commissioner General Emmanuel Kofinti said revenue numbers are picking up largely due to domestic mobilization strategies.
Is that we are putting the numbers together. And in the course of the early part of next week, we will be able to state the numbers as they relate to September. But as at the end of August, we are short of the target by negative 4.3%. So that of the 100% that we are supposed to have achieved, we had achieved 95.7% as at August. And in that month, going forward, the customs area has been the area we had a lot of challenges. And by the end of June, we are recording a deviation of double digits. I mean, by the second half, by the first half of the year, we are having a double digits deviation in the customs area. And we had reduced it to negative 8.3 as at August ending. For the month of August, the deviation from the customs was 2.3. Provisionally, we have negative 1.08 in September. So basically, we are doing well in the customs area. And then the domestic area have been doing better. And so we are projecting that by September, if the numbers are put together, we will be lower than the 4.3 that we had recorded for the August.
Away from revenue, now firms operating in the securities and capital market are set to have their minimum capital requirement increased. Joy Business understands a new capital requirement would be announced soon, and operators may be given up to 1 year to meet the new level. The firms that would be affected by this significant increase in capital requirements would include those operating as brokerage dealers, custodians, fund managers, mutual fund managers, investments advisors, among others. The rest are issuing houses, custodian trustees, and primary dealers. According to the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Ugbami Tete, he says the move has been influenced by the current developments in the economy.
To the boards of the Securities and Exchange Commission, they are also carrying out this move because they want to protect investors in Ghana.
Ready to come to the market with some, some guidelines, including new capital requirements, for capital market operators. So, we really want to make sure that all the pieces are together. So yes, we are approving some of these pending things. We are pushing them, but I'm very big on the fact that we are going to bring to the market some guidelines, for them to give us feedback before we go into implementation. And it is key to ensuring that we protect, the sanity or the integrity of the market.
Some of the securities market players have welcomed this proposed increase. However, they are concerned about how substantial this review would be.
Much anticipated news that all the market operators are expecting. Looking at what is happening at the Bank of Ghana regulated companies from the universal banks, we, the investment bank, have been expecting there's going to be an increment in capital requirement. But as to how substantial, we are yet to know. but we are much prepared against the increment.
I think that is something that we have all expected, that there will be some upward adjustment in the required capital of the market operators. I must add that some years back, the Ghana Stock Exchange took the step and increased the required capital of broker-dealers, LDMs, which are also regulated by the SEC, from 100,000 to 1 million Ghana cedis. So we have all expected that, yes, the other capital market operators would also see an upward adjustment. Thankfully, this has been announced. I think the concern here is the way it was put, that it's going to be a significant increase. So people are going to be wondering exactly how much, and if it will be possible to be able to meet the new capital requirement.
In principle, market operators agree that for the industry to be able to be viable and ensure that investors get good returns, there must be an action in this direction, in the sense that if the barriers to entry are so low, then you have all sorts of entrants. And so once the threshold is raised, you can ensure that you have people who are really into the business of, let's say, asset management or a particular category.
The adjustment in capital levels will affect firms operating as brokerage dealers, custodians, fund managers, mutual fund managers, and investment advisors. The rest are issuing houses, custodians, trustees, and primary dealers. It is believed this will lead to some consolidations in the industry, just like what is expected to happen in the banking and insurance sector.
Insurance companies are advocating the use of technology to boost insurance penetration level in the country. The current penetration rate of 2% is said to be below industry standards. But speaking to Joy Business, Executive Vice Chairman of Vanguard Assurance, Dr. Gideon Amenyedo, said adopting new technologies like apps is the best way forward. Dr. Gideon Amenyedo spoke with Joy Business at the launch of the Vanguard CIMG Hall of Fame Award and Social Responsibility Initiative.
The National Insurance Commissioner has stated that boosting insurance penetration level would be one of its major priorities. According to the Vice Chairman of Vanguard Assurance, Dr. Gideon Amenyedo, aside bank assurance, insurance companies can leverage technology to help boost penetration levels.
I think that what's going to work far, far better is getting the customer straight using what? The app and the rest. That's even the developed countries, they are moving from this bank assurance. It's more of, you want to take motor insurance, you don't have to walk over. Just download Vanguard app or download Star app and whatsoever. So that's the main thing now. So I think that's what is done everywhere now. And I believe that most companies are started in Ghana, and it will see the, yeah, should drive, business, because it makes it convenient. You don't have to drive through traffic. Even bank assurance, you still have to go to the bank. But if it's an app, I want to buy home insurance, personal insurance, renew my car, I don't have to walk. I just download the app, fill the details, I'm there. So that's what we should all encourage. I mean, it makes it more convenient, more easy.
Dr. Amenyedo was speaking at the launch of Vanguard's CIMG Hall of Fame Award and Corporate Social Responsibility Initiative. Known as the Jesus Loves Street Children, the initiative will give support to street children by enrolling them in schools or vocational institutions.
In every society, the poor will always be there, and as we are blessed, we must always remember, government should step up its effort towards rehabilitating people, caring for people who are marginalized, who are on the streets. And the corporate world, more especially, to join Vanguard Assurance and make sure that we provide hope for these people. Some of them could be star performers, so they could be great. But you see, we are just rotting all these talents.
And that's all by way of business tonight. Many thanks for watching. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business.
Parliament on Thursday debated a new bill that will allow the establishment of the Northern Development Authority in fulfillment of one of the NPP's major campaign promises. The authority, like SADA, established under the erstwhile NDC government, is expected to help bridge the development gap between the North and the South. The minority has, however, been raising a number of red flags about the bill. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu is questioning the legal basis for the new bill. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more.
8 different bills came to the floor of Parliament for a debate today, the first one being the Northern Development Authority Bill, which will allow for the establishment of the Northern Development Authority, and then the Coastal Development Authority Bill, as well as the Middle Belt Development Authority Bill. Of all the three, that of the Northern Development Authority Bill raised a bit of controversy. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu was raising concerns about the very legal basis on which this particular bill is standing. Look at the fact that there have previously been the SADA bill, which they think was not fully complied with in terms of the requirement to allow for such a new legislation.
Let me go to 106 so that I situate my argument. The power of Parliament to make laws shall be exercised by bills passed by Parliament and assented to by the President. No bill other than such a bill as is referred to in paragraph A of Article 108 of the Constitution shall be introduced in Parliament unless it is accompanied by an explanatory memorandum setting out in detail the policy and principles of the bill. Mr. Speaker, this is my emphasis. The defects of the existing law, unquote. Where are the defects? What are the defects of the existing law? I am unable to find one. I'm able to find problems with its management. I'm able to find problems with its governance. I'm able to find problems with its abuses of public resources. But I do not see a defect in the SADA Act of 805 and 2010.
The Member of Parliament for the Afajato area, that Angela Alowate, drew attention to the fact that this is merely a rehash of what was being done under SADA and questioned the very basis for that.
My senior colleague, one of them, just spoke and said a lot of things about SADA. Where are we going as a nation? Is it not time for us as a nation to just continue where one ended and put in what was lacking in the previous one? Are we going to have several of these every time a new government is in place? Several of the bills, the acts. I have 2008 here. That is the Northern Development Fund Act 2008, and I have the Savannah Accelerated Development Act, Authority Act 2010, Act 8005.
Well, the majority leader in Parliament, Oseiche Mensah-Musu, responded to the concerns and indicated that all of these will be included when the House eventually debates and gives approval for the final bill.
Government's agenda to ensure, and also government agenda to ensure inclusive and accelerated bottom-up socio-economic development of the country. That government aims to establish the Middle Belt Development Authority to spearhead this agenda within the Middle Belt zone. Speaker, the Middle Belt Development Authority, in addition to enhancing the inclusive development of Ashanti region, the Brong-Ahafo region, and the eastern region of the country, will be the primary agency for implementing the infrastructure for poverty eradication program.
From Parliament House in Accra, my name is Joseph Opoku-Gapo.
Outspoken former moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, Reverend Professor Emmanuel Mate, will lead a two-man team in an anti-corruption lecture in Kumasi on Friday. He partners Graphic Communications Group Managing Director Ken Ashigbe to put a spotlight, or former Graphic Communications Group Managing Director Ken Ashigbe to put a spotlight on the canker and its effects in Ghana. It is being organized by Kumasi-based Christian Service University College. Erastus Asaridonko reports.
Reverend Professor Mate will speak on the topic Institutional Corruption in Ghana, the Realities, Causes and Effects. Co-speaker Mr. Ashigbe addresses the efficacy of anti-corruption measures in Ghana, what is missing and the way forward. Transparency International ranked Ghana the 7th most corrupt African country in 2015 after the country slipped by 1% from 2014. Public perception of corruption came up strongly during the 2016 election and with the assumption of the current administration. Christian Service University College believes academia has a major role to play in ridding the Ghanaian society of the canker. President of CSUC, Professor Sam Afrani, told a press conference the public lecture is the school's contribution to the fight.
Various civil society organizations, the President of Ghana and the citizenry are all condemning corruption scourge. There is a call by many Ghanaians for steps to be taken to avert corruption practices. The Christian Service University College supports this call, and the University College is prepared to be keenly involved in the use of all legitimate means, including the use of public lectures, to launch an attack on corruption.
Students of the Nkwanta Senior High School in the Nkwanta South District of the Volta region are compelled to study under very harsh conditions as a result of the school's infrastructure challenges. This phenomenon has led to congestion, especially in the dining hall, classrooms and girls' dormitories, and the school authorities are appealing for some quick intervention. They cite some uncompleted projects they say could help ease the situation if they could be readily attended to. Fred Kwame Asari filed the following report.
The Nkwanta Senior High School, since its establishment in 1974 as a community second cycle institution, has witnessed very little infrastructure development. Ceilings in some of the classrooms are decaying and falling off, posing threat to students. With a student population of about 1,600, the school is hit with limited number of classrooms, compelling authorities to erect iron sheet pavilion to accommodate first-year students. An assistant headmaster, Joseph Idrisu Mahama, explains the situation affects delivery of quality education.
There are 9 classrooms, but because it has not been clouded, when a teacher is in one class teaching, the other class, the noise gets to the other class. The management tried to fence it with an iron sheet, but the people from town comes to remove it, so the whole place is open. So at times when it rains, the teacher will have to stop teaching until after the rains. We are appealing to the government if they can do something about it.
The dining hall, which was originally built to accommodate 200 students, now serves over 1,400 students. The only option is for students to take their meals in batches. School gatherings are held under these trees since the school does not have a befitting assembly hall. Meanwhile, work had stalled on an ultra-modern dining and assembly hall facility attached with a kitchen. A 12-unit Get Fund-sponsored science department block has also been abandoned for about 7 years now. Another challenge is congestion in the girls' dormitories, which the school's management say needs renovation and expansion to accommodate the increasing number of students. The Nkwanta SHS headmaster, Lovely Bwedu, appealed to government to resume work on the abandoned projects and also supply all texts and exercise books for the first beneficiaries of the free SHS policy to enhance academic work.
For the dormitory, the boys don't have a problem as such, but for the girls, if you go to the dormitory now, what you will see, you may not like it. So we are appealing to the government as a matter of urgency to build a new dormitory for the girls, and then to expand our dining hall for us. If not now, at least the dining hall furniture have to be brought.
Infrastructure deficit is the major hiccup to achieving quality education and the government's free SHS program in the Nkwanta South District. However, the Deputy Volta Regional Minister, Maxwell Blagoji, during an earlier visit to the district, promised to ensure the challenges are resolved within the shortest possible time. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
I'm sure you've heard many times the saying, the reward of a teacher is in heaven. Well, on a day to celebrate teachers on the theme Teaching in Freedom, Empowering Teachers, Joy News Maxwell visited the St. Paul's Lutheran School to find out from some teachers if they truly believe that their reward is in heaven. They have also been sharing some challenges they face with Joy News.
Yes, the teachers' rewards are in heaven, but all the same, you should see it physically.
But you want to see it on earth before you go to heaven?
You want to see it on earth, because you can't go to the market and tell the woman that, please give me those, God will pay you. It should reflect in the pocket.
You have, before getting to heaven, because maybe not everybody will make it to heaven. Yeah. Well, I don't know what will happen in hell anyway. I'm a Christian. I believe I'll make it to heaven, so I'll get mine in heaven, but I need to get some here before going to heaven. So.
You know, we have so many children from so many backgrounds, and that is the number one challenge that most of the times we have. These children have been raised from so many homes, and then they come here, and you as a teacher have to be able to psychologically manage these children in such a way that at the end of the day, each and every one of them feels comfortable, well served before leaving this place. Yes.
You believe in that?
Yeah, of course it is.
That your reward is not in?
Of course.
It's in heaven?
Of course it is.
But I'm sure you be...
These children are kind of angels.
Okay.
And so whatever they tell you, yeah, it works. So it's in heaven. We all go there and get it.
How do you feel as a teacher with all your students saying they want to be doctors and police officers, not mentioning teacher?
I'm happy. Some of us, when we were kids, we also said we become doctors and so on. Okay. But we find ourselves here as teachers. So maybe gradually if they go.
Well, we have also been finding out from the pupils what they would want to become in the future, and I'm sure Maxwell Agwagba has just let it out. They all did not want to be teachers.
My name is Isabel Na Ayango Kwashi.
Oh, Isabel, you're so cute. Isabel, what do you want to do in future?
I want to be a doctor.
You want to be a doctor? Why don't you want to be a teacher?
It's because... I want to help people that are dead and to be well nicely.
Oh, okay. I get you. That's why I don't want to be a teacher. But tell me, who's your favorite teacher here at St. Paul's Lutheran?
Auntie Marian.
I get you. I know. Okay, let me find out from the other kids here. Hey, what's your name?
Ivan Kabute Tete.
Oh, Ivan Kabute Tete. Tell me, she wants to be a doctor. What do you want to do in future?
Police.
You want to be what?
Police.
Oh, you want to be a police? Why don't you want to be a teacher?
Because I'll help them.
Oh, because you want to help people. Wow. Okay. I think you and Isabella are very selfless. You want to help people. Wow. Who's your favorite teacher? Tell me.
Auntie
she says
Pat.
Marian. Who?
Auntie Pat.
Auntie Pat is your favorite teacher. Why? Why is she your favorite teacher? Can you tell me?
Because she's my teacher. Because she teaches me.
Oh, because she teaches you all. Oh, okay. Let me find out from your friend here too. Hey, what's your name?
Amid Ibrahim.
Amidu.
Amid Ibrahim.
Oh, Amid Ibrahim. Tell me, who is your favorite teacher?
Auntie Lala.
Auntie Lala is your favorite teacher.
Doctor.
You want to be a doctor like Isabella. Why do you want to be a doctor, not a teacher?
Because I want to help people.
Oh, because you also want to help people.
Well, authorities at the Cape Coast School for the Deaf and Blind have expressed fear that many children with disabilities might be left out of government's freebies on education. They argue that even though children with disability do not pay school fees, subventions to help provide teaching and learning materials for the effective education hardly come through. The headmaster was speaking at a ceremony by a disability-friendly NGO intended to help in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals on education. Richard Kojunyako has more.
The Cape Coast School for the Deaf and Blind is an educational facility that admits children with special needs, including the visually impaired and hearing impaired persons. The school currently has a population of 531 students with a staff strength of about 100. Authorities of the school complain that the undulating nature of the school makes mobility of students with visual impairment difficult. School authorities want government not to leave children with disability out of the provision of basic needs that would ultimately help them realize their potentials, as they have special abilities that ought to be unearthed. Setumti Ametawe is the head teacher of the school.
Honorable Minister, I think that we are being left out. My children who are hearing impaired and visually impaired have teachers who are special teachers, and they deal with special facilities, logistics, to be able to teach them and have skilled areas. But these things are not forthcoming, and so it makes teaching them become very difficult. Research has even shown that there is a strong relationship between poverty and disability, and many of my children come from very deprived backgrounds. And even though they do not pay school fees, you realize that the basic needs that they need to come into school are not being able to be provided by the parents of these unfortunate children. Walking into Cape Deaf Blind, you realize that our road networks are extremely bad. And because we have children with visual impairment around, they always would have to stumble and fall because of the gullies we have around. And so we have a lot of pressure on our school infirmary. Our school is not able to cater for some basic needs, especially the children who are visually impaired would have to be buying prepaid. That's power electricity for these children. And we rely solely on government subvention, which hardly counts. I humbly want to plead with you to use your good offices to help tar the school premises for us, since our blind children keep falling and getting serious cuts.
The Deputy Minister of Employment and Social Welfare, Bright Rekudube, assures the concerns and challenges of the school would be tabled before government for redress. He asks for a change in the name of the Cape Coast School for the Deaf and Blind into a school of people with special abilities.
This is an institution for people with special needs. But the moment you hear school for the deaf and blind, that connotation alone looks quite derogatory. Sorry to say this, but that's how I feel. So if there's a way which you can look at it, and for us to really assist or facilitate in a way for us to have a name that is more discerning, so to put it.
The founder of Spread Lab Home and Abroad, Spencer Kwabnabuati Mensah, assured his organization will help in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Students who exhibited their skills in writing were awarded by the foundation, while other demonstrations by students of Akrapim School for the Blind, Cape Coast School for the Deaf, and Ghana National Basic All-Inclusive School were also awarded. Richard Kwejonyakon, Joy News, Cape Coast.
The Ghana Library Association has bemoaned the dumping of outmoded books on libraries in the name of charity. Ashanti Regional Librarian Elizabeth Arthur says 80% of books donated to libraries cannot be put on the shelves. She was speaking at the 5th Library and Information Week in Kumasi. Law Firm's Kwesi Debra reports.
This is the processing room of Ashanti Library. Librarians are sorting out consignments from donors. Some of the books date back to the 19th century. Officials are left with no choice but to leave them here or ask toilet roll manufacturers to come for them. Elizabeth Arthur is regional librarian.
More than 80% of the books received from outside are outmoded. In fact, after going through, they will sometimes bring a lot of books to us. But when we finish with the sorting out, we realize whatever will be needed, we will have only about 20% of the books. That will be necessary for the users.
Sometimes the books have weak spines and come apart easily. They are moldy, and infections find their way onto other books.
So you will see holes and all these worm infestation. By the time you add to your stock, it will even bring a problem, because if it is worm infested, it also affects the little stock that you also have.
The Ghana Library Association appeals for strengthened collaboration. President Samuel Bento Agre warns donors to ensure books meet the needs of users.
And some people even get annoyed. They come and say, where are the books? But they think that once there is a book that is needed, so you should put them on the shelf. But when it comes, professionally, we go through them. Are they current? Is that what we need before we start processing them? So as I said, some people tell you most of about 80% of them, but it usually will happen when you don't engage them. You see, when you engage, you have a hand in what is coming. You tell the person, if you bring me this, no. And some that come with conditions, you tell them, no, I cannot do that.
As Ghana marks the 5th Library and Information Week, Mr. Bento Agre wants government to revive libraries in basic schools.
The school libraries are supposed to be in schools, so those down before the tertiary. And they are really, some are really not even existing at all. We used to have some in boxes and what have you.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.